Look closely. In the shadows, there is violence. In Morocco, a banker meets his end. A general loses his line of credit. The riot burns out in the street. 2 men die, and a military coup is averted. In San Diego, an informant is killed in an accident. A microfilm goes missing, and a mafia trial is cancelled for lack of evidence. In St. Petersburg, an ex-KGB officer is assassinated. A terrorist is found dead in Sicily, and a nuclear arms deal is foiled. Read between the news feeds, follow the money, join the dots. There is a world beyond yours where economics and luxury collide with violence and power. Contract by contract, professional killers shape the world you see. From brutal amateurs to ruthless professionals to silent assassins. Masters of their craft whose work goes completely unseen. They hide in transit, they strike in secret. Their window of opportunity is critical, their execution perfect. They use the finest tools to hunt the greatest game. They are meticulous, they have resources. They are creative and untraceable. We live in a world of assassination. And once you know, there's no going back.
Welcome back to another episode of the Northern Nerdcast. I'm Brad. Joining me as always is Adam. And I am thrilled to announce that I have 75% of the Hitman cast. So welcome back, Jane, David, and please welcome Philip to the show. As you know, Diana, Agent 47, and I said this on the podcast, Philip, my favorite modern villain of all time. So we'll get into all of that. But first of all, Jane, congratulations on, again, you're probably tired of hearing this by now, but on your win. But it was well deserved. Well deserved.
Absolutely. Do you want to see it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
He just happens to have it for this occasion.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That is fantastic.
I mean, it wasn't in the
isn't it?
mood, Jane.
I'm gonna put it on in my office.
Yeah, definitely.
Every now and then I look
Fantastic.
at it and I'm like, hey BAFTA, hey. Because
So, sorry, go ahead, Jane.
I was just saying it's a bit like you know when you go on holiday and then you come back and literally a day later you're like, did we go on holiday? Like it just becomes a sort of distant dream. Not that the BAFTAs were necessarily like that, but there are moments where I'm like, oh yeah, that did happen. David, actually at the ceremony with me, we all went together, didn't we, David? Which was so nice.
Oh, it was an unforgettable evening.
Yeah, it was a really, really nice time, very special event.
Yeah.
So it's, I keep saying it's lovely to have this sort of beautiful object, this sort of memento of this wonderful kind of moment. And yeah, he's quite handsome, the old BAFTA. So he's there keeping me company.
That's excellent. So speaking of the awards, David, I heard a rumor. So about a month and a bit ago, we had some of the boys from the Guardians of the Galaxy on. So John, Jason, and Alex. And they had said that you were going to have the barcode tattooed on your head if you won an award. Is that true?
Yes, it is. It is true as I'm sitting here. And my wife's actually been saying I should get it done years ago when I was nominated a couple of years back at the Voice Arts Awards in LA. And I said, whoa, I'm only going to be there in the States for 22 hours. I don't know if the ink has time to get dry. I don't know. But I didn't win, so it was probably a good thing I didn't. But you know what? I'm actually up for doing it anyway, but I'm probably going to do it on an occasion. And so therefore I've said it'll have to be some kind of a win. I did get some award about a month ago in London, but for which I was also nominated for Hitman. And the mail came through and I went, congratulations, you have won. I went, oh shit. but I won for something else. The other, I was up for 2 things. So yeah,
Really? Wow.
not yet, but one day.
You were nominated as well at the BAFTAs.
I wasn't. I was
Oh.
shortlisted, as they call it.
That's really great. How
And
exciting.
they were chuffed. I'm glad I went, first and foremost, so I could walk up the red carpet with Jane Perry. And now that she's won an award, she's going, David who?
Beautiful.
Who is this person you speak of?
Yeah, exactly. So, no, it was the BAFTAs was an unforgettable evening. I'm so pleased, Jane.
Well, you know what's so great about BAFTA is that they celebrate games. They've
Yes.
taken this on board, and I keep joking, and it's not really a joke anymore, but they need to change their name. They need to be called BAFTA because British Film and Television Awards, and now it's games. And I just think it's awesome that they're doing that, because games are a going concern, obviously, and they have their own place in the entertainment industry. So all of these organizations that celebrate things in the entertainment industry, I think that they need to take a page out of BAFTA's books and start recognizing the artistry and skill that is involved in games, not just in performance, but across the board. There's so much talent there to celebrate. So
yeah,
we'll see what comes.
good point. It just dawned on me the other day. I was talking to someone and they said, thanks to COVID, voiceover work took a big leap up. In terms of a lot of voice actors got their own studio setups, and we were self-isolating as a job, but the point was that the gaming industry took a massive quantum leap in terms of sales and attention seeking, because films didn't. You couldn't have film premieres, you couldn't even shoot the film. But so games, what are we doing? I'm stuck at home. Okay, I'm gonna play PlayStation. Oh, Hitman, where are you? So may it continue without the COVID bit.
Yeah, that's right.
So season 2, or I guess Hitman 3 season 2 has launched, and I know the new map is coming for free for people who own the game. You don't really get much out of the trailer, but I don't know if you guys are able to talk about this, but are you guys back to the voicing, or is this just like see that I'm getting the eyes, so but are you guys involved with season 2, if you can say that at all?
See, I'm looking across at Jane.
That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know I lose track, what I'm allowed to talk about and what we're not allowed to talk about.
Well, when you're an award winner, it's expected that you're going to lose track. So
I'm doing so many things.
That's awesome. No, that's a good answer. I mean, I can only ask, and if you can't say, then you can't say. It's what it is. So, but I do have to ask, because obviously Hitman is centered around Diana and Agent 47. But how does it feel to have a intellectually superior villain for to counter Diana's confidence? Because you guys all crushed it, but there was just this whole thing where Philip, just every single line that was delivered, was like, okay, this guy knows his shit. So,
well,
take it away, Phil.
They wrote great dialogue, and that just really, really helps.
Yeah. That's not a good enough answer. It's a good start to
my answer is, I don't mind what happens next in Hitman, as long as David Baton gets a mocap.
Oh, because you were the only one that didn't get to mocap.
Don't mention the war.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's a tragedy, young man.
I don't know what happened. That's just I missed the boat there. One of my close mates has has been, I don't know how to express that, playing me. You know, as he's a stuntman in Denmark, and for many years he's done it. And I only had one opportunity to, and then I was stood down, and it didn't happen. So no, I've never mocapped me. I've been in the mocap room. I've held my own guns. I've looked at things which I've supposed to have killed or blown up or something, you know, in that massive room at IO Interactive. But no.
But you haven't done dialogue mocap?
No, I haven't. I would love it.
It'd be so much fun. The one in the airport with Diana and 47, that would have been an amazing one, where you're kind of sitting opposite each other, you know?
I love that scene.
That was so, it was such a stylish scene. That would have been great.
It felt like some kind of an Italian movie. I don't know what it was. It was just something.
It was great. That
just had a lovely laid back style to it from the 70s or 80s. It just had a different feel. But yeah, the intimacy of just, you know, talking to Diana again. Oh, got a problem, you know. And then Diana's saying, right, pull yourself together, Agent 7.
That's what I'm looking forward to one day, David.
Yeah, well, yeah, one day. Maybe they should film the mocap sequences being made. You know, there's a whole area of PR here opening up. Why not? You know,
that would be so much fun to watch for the fans, because with the things on your head and it looks so strange. It feels so weird. I think I mentioned this in the last when we did the one with the All Things Hitman.
Yeah.
I remember, because when I did my first mocap, and obviously John had done a reasonable amount of games before, and Jane had done at least
thousands,
probably several, because I looked at everybody's IMDb today. I looked at everybody's show reels today.
Oh, really?
And I thought you, Jane, you'd done like 3 or 4 games. You've done about 12. I couldn't believe it. And I've played several. I played Ghost Recon. I'm going off the point now. I played Ghost Recon. I played Alien Isolation. I saw the trailer for Returnal today.
Oh wow!
Such a phenomenal game. Such a good game.
Amazing.
Yeah, you have a lot to look forward to there. Jane, tell us about it.
Tell you about Returnal? Oh.
Yeah. What was it like to record? Apart from, long.
Yeah, it was long. It was long. And, you know, because she has such a arduous journey on this extremely hostile planet with these really mad sort of moments that she has to negotiate. So yeah, like she's always on the hook, right? Like it's always high stakes the whole way through, pretty much. So yeah, it was challenging, but it was good because Housemarque's such a great company to work for. They're just a really lovely group. So in fact, one of the narrative designers coming to stay in a few days, Evie Corcoran and
oh great,
for Develop Brighton. So it's lovely to make friends with the people that you work with. It doesn't always happen, in games, even with the actors, unless you do motion captures as well as Philip and I did, and David, but never mind. Yeah, so it was great. I loved it. They're a great company, and they're one to watch out for sure.
Yeah, I met Evie at the Nordic Games recently, and she still had that little blue octopus. What was it? What's it called?
Octo.
Yeah.
Octo.
Okay.
A blue octopus.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah, you see.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad.
Have a look at this.
Yeah. Shut up.
Can you see it?
There you go. That's.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
What's the relevance of the octopus? Relevance of the octopus.
There you go. Yeah.
It's one of the scary villains, isn't it?
No, it's a cuddly toy. Well, it is a cuddly toy, and then it kind of these
Those
things. Yeah, I won't go. I don't spoiler alert.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Can I? I've been dying to ask this, Jane. You just in a way answered it. It's that you were never off the hook in doing the dialogue. It's like there
There's
wasn't a moment where you kind of look around on this extraordinary planet surface and go, "Oh, look, that's a pretty flower." There was not a moment, was there?
No comic relief like there is in Hitman, which is one of the things we love about Hitman. But yeah, she's pretty much, full pelt through the whole thing. I suppose there's a few moments of contemplation because she does all these scout logs. So, she's in this point, but she's a scientist, right? So she's sort of surviving, but she's also trying to make sense of things. And then she's logging the things that she comes across. So those are perhaps the quieter moments where she's just like figuring out what the heck's going on. But even then, she's in this very active kind of mode. So she's either active because she has to, because she's fighting all these, bosses and things like that, or she's active because she's just trying to think her way through everything. So yeah, which is also what makes her so wonderful. But getting back to Hitman, there's so many moments that are really funny in Hitman. Maybe not so much for you, Philip. Like your character is kind of very focused and really clear about what he's doing. But I think for Agent 47 and Diana, there are those moments that the writers fold into it that kind of counterbalance the seriousness of what's going on with this kind of sense of humor that they weave into it. And that's quite a fun thing, I think.
One scene that really stands out for me, talking about like tying in comedy, was when Agent 47 is in the suburbs there and he goes to the barbecue and poisons the asset, and he's carrying him on his shoulder, and the bodyguard's following you, and you have to go into the bathroom, and you're telling everyone that the guy is like, you don't know what happened to him. He got sick. I think it was Hitman 2. David, I actually completed the whole series. So last time we had you on, I only did the first one. So 3 is my favorite, but it was just the comedic timing when the asset starts getting really sick and they're like, "Oh, what's wrong?" Food poisoning. Like, it's not meant to be funny, but I laughed. So what can I say? Maybe I have a sick sense of humor. But it's like Jane said, like with the constant, like there's not much room for comedic timing or anything because he's so serious. But I mean, that also attests to how you guys acted out as well as the writing. But that was one of the moments that stood out for me for comedy. So
yeah.
Oh, cool. Philip, my comment on this is I absolutely loved our last scene together. Your presence, your stillness, your kind of totally in control, sort of laconic delivery, not even looking over your shoulder, Agent 47 is going to do the right thing, and inject himself and level up the game and go back to square one.
yeah, Agent 40, you need to level up the game. That's your
yes.
The thing is, I mean, I obviously enjoyed doing, as we all did, the voice work for 2 and 3, but it's just when you look at your performance we can't really think of 2 because there was no physical, all the cutscenes were just like comic books, as we know, comic pages. But in 3, obviously you do the voice, but when you say I was looking, it wasn't even turning around. I mean, because I wasn't mocapping it, so I only feel it was, it's like part of your performance. But I would have loved to have done that though, because I enjoyed doing the mocap. Both my mocaps on Hitman 1 or Hitman 6, whatever you want to call it. 2 of the most fun things I've ever done in my whole life. I love the scene on the train with Diana, and I love the fanning scene. That was the first one I did actually on the day. That was the first one. I'd never done any mocap before. It was so much fun.
Wow.
So much fun. But I would have loved to have done that as actual mocap. That would have been so much fun doing those final scenes. But it's interesting. I mean, the technical guys on these huge games on a Hitman. Everybody is superb at what they do, of course. So they did a great job with the mocap, even though the actors weren't doing it. The actors are just doing the voices. But I don't know how you may have, obviously your character's been in the whole series, David. So
Yeah.
They know how to make his body move all the time, even from Hitman Codename 47 way back in 2001. But I don't know if you have ever felt, Jane, in any of the Hitman 3 cutscenes that you were in, but you didn't mocap them, but you just voiced them. Did you ever feel that the way the technical people made Diana move might have been different from the way you did it if you'd been acting it? Because I remember the way the Constant moved on Hitman 1, he moved very still. He was very controlled and very still. But by the time that they did the mocap without the actors on Hitman 3, he was a bit more funky. And it still looked good, but I remember thinking if I'd done it, it would have been very different.
Yeah.
It would have been more ice-like, I think. Anyway, what did you think?
Yeah, well, I think that's you're articulating one of the challenges of acting in computer games as it stands right now. This deconstruction of character, this the separation of sort of the body and the voice, which is it's kind of mad in a way, because the voice is in the body and is totally informed by the body. I think like you're saying with Agent 47, I think the creators of Hitman understand Diana so well, and I think they really got it right. But I have had that experience in other games where I have done the voice, and then I've recorded many months of a character's voice, and then they go off to LA and they do the motion capture, and then you come back and then you do more of the cutscenes, and you have to do a vocal match to what the motion capture is, and realizing that the movement is completely not the rhythm that I used for that character vocally. And in those moments, you have to try to stitch together two things that actually don't really fit that well. And I found that really challenging to sort of justify the way her voice was before it, and then to sort of figure out a way to make it seamlessly fit into the way the actress who did the motion capture chose to do it. And there's no right or wrong. It's not that she was wrong in her approach, not at all. It's just she's a different human being than me, and now she's going to have different impulses. But it's definitely one of the challenges of games, and it obviously, as we all know, it comes down to economics. Like splitting things up. It's not, and sometimes it has to do with a character, a character's physicality. Like, for example, with Celine, they had a gymnast, play her body, and I was like, that was probably a good call, because she's doing all kinds of crazy stuff that probably I'm not that great at doing.
So that's really interesting, Jane. So sometimes with Celine, it was because it was fundamental that the character was that gymnastic.
Yeah.
With other games, it was simply because you weren't able to work in America, or they had to save money, or because I would have thought that they would want to have the actress.
Me too. Yeah, exactly. And and looking at her performance. Sorry, Brad and Adam, we're just going off on a little.
No, this is perfect.
I'm loving it. Great. I'm gonna get some popcorn. I
listened to her performance in this game. I thought, she's good. I don't know why they just don't use her voice too.
What are you saying?
Well, no, she was. I thought
gracious.
Fine. So
BAFTA disagrees.
Yeah.
Good
so
point.
I'm not talking about Returnal, but because I'm protective of Returnal, because Celine's my baby.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like,
that was funny.
Celine is three women creating one character. So she isn't just my baby. That's not true for me to say that. She's three actresses, the gymnast, the lovely actress who plays her face and hands. Her name is Anne Bayer. She's in Los Angeles. And then me, who plays the voice. And then there's that whole slew of people at Housemarque who then bring all of that together and bring it to life. So, sometimes these characters are sort of created by a group of people.
I didn't know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that Celine was 3 different actresses.
Yes, yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also you had to match what somebody did a mocap in America for a character you did. Then you watched it and you had to match your voice to what they did.
Yeah, this was for a different game where I had to do that because Celine is by herself and there's no scenes with other people where I had to match. So for example, what they call the voice flap, when the body is the person who did the motion capture speaking, and then you have to match your voice to what they're saying.
Okay.
That was for another game. So I didn't have to do that with Celine because she is just by herself. And that wasn't sort of that didn't factor into it. So the game I'm talking about was completely deconstructed in a way that was difficult for me. It was another game that I did a number of years ago. But anyway, that's very common in our industry, and as you know, and yeah, it can be a bit of a challenge sometimes. And I'll be really interested to see how that changes, as games progress and develop, because I think everybody has a sort of awareness of the fact that does make things difficult. And yes, it is perhaps due to more practical things. But at some point, it's always better when you have, the one actor playing one character, I think. And then it's also really great when you have, a bunch of actors together working off each other in the room, because that's such a pleasure, and you don't always get that when you're working in games too. So yeah.
So David, I liken and see. I know I was watching the All Things Hitman podcast actually yesterday just to get. I saw it before, but I never actually just really sat into it. But I know there's all those 007 rumors flying around, and I'm not asking anything about that. But I liken the relationship between 47 and the Shadow Client as like almost a reverse 007 006, whereas he starts off as a seeming villain, and where like that 006 he's going down the dark path as the movie goes on, and it's a complete reverse where he starts off as seemingly a villain. I mean, I don't really see anybody as the villain in this. And Adam, I'm not trying to spoil this for you because Adam hasn't finished the series, but it's very interesting to see the dynamics between yourself and John. And I was gonna, unfortunately, John's not here, but how did you guys play off that role where, like, I can't say anything without really spoiling it for Adam.
Oh no,
I've spoiled it for Adam.
I was gonna say I did some spoiling too.
So like how? Yeah, just plug your ears. Like how did that whole dynamic come about for those two roles? Like, where they introduce each other, or well, it's introduced that he's kind of like the brother protector of 47.
Yeah. I think it's more in a way. Okay, John's not here, but it's more a question to him because I'm familiar with him, and it's hinted at and referred to in many games. My childhood friend, but I'm actually very intrigued by playing status in as an exercise. Actors do, saying, you just play this status, and you're going fine, and then you just play that part, if it was a high status, and then say the same lines but low status, like you're just a sort of subsequent servant or whatever. So that's a kind of a mental exercise I just enjoy. So we just get our lines on most occasions and have no concept of what comes before or after, or
Yeah.
even I probably get to hear more than the others do, because they tended to record Agent 47's lines at sort of the end of the run. So the other characters. So sometimes I could get a feed line. I could hear Jane say something to me, but more often than not, we're all in isolation. So I think that the answer is simply we make split-second decisions as we say a line, with the knowledge. In my case, I would ask, what's the situation? What's come before? And I'm not interested really in what comes after. So I'll just play that status, okay, I'm in danger, or I'm about to meet someone who is a villain. And I'll just play it there because I don't know what they're about to reveal, which is a bit like real life. We don't know what's going to happen. If only we did, tomorrow or the day after. So back to what you were saying earlier on, it would be amazing if we could all just put on motion cap suits and walk into a room after we've had a cup of coffee and shaking hands, going hello, and then played the scene.
Yeah.
Because I think that would make I really think it would make a tremendous difference.
Yeah.
I had this discussion with Mark Estelle on my last visit to London, where he described that he really doesn't like to give the actors. He's a director in gaming. He doesn't like to give the actors the lines until just on the take, which means obviously the actor needs to be a good cold reader. But he likes that feeling of improvisation on the line. Even if they've said it wrong, you can always cut that out. But the next time they say it, oh, I should have said it like this.
Yeah.
There's something extra there.
Yeah.
And I think the level of sophistication in gaming is reached such a level, as Jane was referring to earlier, that the players can pick up all that. They don't need to hear all these lines being said crystal clear and placed and beautifully, mixed. They can blur and they can talk like this and and that's because it's more like real life, and gaming is becoming scarily more and more and more like real life. So yeah, so I don't know how that answers your question, but
it does.
I make up, for me, decisions based on what's information I've been given, and then I'll just be playing my lines that, okay, this person is the villain. And then I'll turn over the page and go, oh no, he's my best friend from when I was a child. Oh, bum, which is fine, because then I will play that truth.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, Jane, I want to ask you, I mean, it's sort of on the subject, but you have been recording 1 million games. I know we're all used to just learning out, picking up a script and saying, oh, now I am the King of France, and now I am a Russian, whatever. They're called acting. It's called acting. But do you ever feel like, okay, I just had a favorite role and I felt close to that character. And then the next day you're in a studio and you don't feel that affinity with this character, but you've got to give it your best shot. Do you ever kind of feel, wish I could say these lines like this,
I don't mean to interrupt, but John will be joining us very shortly. He just sent an email, so hopefully we can get him on.
Okay, great.
So he said, I guess I sent him a link, but I guess he didn't get it yesterday. So I just told him, I said, come on in, we're doing it. So go back I just wanted to quickly say that if you see another screen pop up, it's not Clayton.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's great. I'm so glad that he can join us. Yeah, gosh, that's a really good question. Yeah, well, sometimes I think what sometimes happens in games is, because a player is playing them for many, many, many hours, that and the stakes are usually pretty high in any game, really. And as an actor, you kind of want to like really play the stakes in a big way, and maybe say your lines like if you're in a crisis situation to really like honor that. But sometimes, or frequently, the director of the game, performance director, will say, look, you have to be aware of the fact that a player is going to be playing this for 40 hours. So don't yell and scream the whole time, because that's too hard to listen to for 40 hours. So tone it down. So maintain the stakes and the gravitas of the situation, or honor whatever's going on in the scene or the moment, but don't go too full throttle with it, because that's tough to listen to. So I think sometimes, you might get a moment where you think, I just want to blow this out of the water and just make a, like chew up the scenery. And you can't really, because you do have to be conscious of the comfort of the player who's going to have to go with you on that ride.
Yeah.
So sometimes I do feel that kind of like, oh, I want to really go for this. But yeah, otherwise you're right. You're so right. It is about really being in that moment and making a split-second choice with that line, and just trusting and hoping that you've made the right choice, and then being dependent on the member of the team from the developer who's there on the line with you, giving you direction and pointing you in the right direction, and then of course your performance director. So yeah, it's an interesting old world.
Silence.
Brad, who are you talking to?
I'm not talking to anybody. Not yet.
Say, David, you weren't asking that question because you're sick of playing Agent 47, are you?
What? Are you crazy? Hey, I'll kill you for free. No.
Hey, he's wearing the suit. He's just forgetting the tie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I noticed. Yeah.
I've got that Canadian look, actually. I'm sort of like
You're not wearing the jean jacket.
No.
Thinking about that, David,
What?
I mean, obviously you've had literally decades in computer games.
Very old.
Very old. Thanks, Jen.
In games since 2000.
Yeah.
Do you think that, I mean, I imagine you probably would have wanted to play characters in other games, but maybe that hasn't happened because you're so famous for Agent 47 that do you think developers might think, well, we'd love to put this actor into another game, but people will just think, but that's the actor who played 47. So do you think has that ever been frustrating?
Yeah.
Do you think that might have stopped you getting various roles in other games?
Well, I have had it said to my face once. So I don't know if on other occasions, but where a director said, oh, it's such a good part for you in this game. And I went, oh, well, hello. I said, yeah, but there's such an association with your voice with that character, that bald guy, Agent 47. And that the decision was made that they didn't want to take that risk.
That must have been frustrating. That really
frustrating.
Well,
that's
so frustrating.
Yes, they have all these offers and go, no. I have turned down games because I just thought it was wrong I wouldn't do that now, but I did that sometimes during the first, I would say 10 years.
You mean after you got Hitman?
Yeah, I just felt.
Oh, you were offered other games. That's good.
Yeah, in the first years, a couple, not a lot, but I've only done other.
What was it that made you turn them down? Was it?
I just wanted to be being really wanky, I suppose. I wanted to be exclusive to IO Interactive.
Fair enough. Well, that's good. Yeah.
And I was very happy just doing that. But I only played another character in also a solo kind of character, nearly a solo character, in a game called Light Matter, where I was a mad professor. It was totally psychotic. But that was fun only because, well, it's fun for many reasons, but it was fun because he had different aspects to his character. He was sane, and then he was a bit paranoid, and then he was totally schizophrenic, and then he'd be
I saw that on IMDb. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was again just as an acting exercise. It was a joy. Although
Oh, wow.
it gave me a brain hernia, sort of, because there was a lot of screaming and shouting back to James Bond. And I thought, I'm going for it. So yeah, but I have, and I've actually, Jane perhaps knows this, that our then mutual agent said at some point, listen, I think your voice has scared people off from using you because it's too much of a tough association with Agent 47. So we actually booked and recorded a whole new series of show reels in different categories, just to kind of get myself away from being this character.
Yeah.
Although, about a week ago, 10 days ago, I did a job, and no, a few days, 3-4 days ago, this one, and nice big job for a credit card company. And they said halfway through the session, we did so many takes on this, and I thought, I'm killing it. This is fine. This is really what's going on. And they finally said it. Could you do that voice like Agent 47? Oh, you could have saved me a whole. So they go, Agent 47 is now a credit card company.
Wow. So did they go with that take as Agent 47?
Well, they wanted it not to be sort of mid-Atlantic American,
Right.
but they wanted that same gravitas and neutral down there. And I went, oh, you should have, yeah. And the moment I did that, it went, that's it. I went, so yeah. So I'm now, if people, see this film beginning, oh shit, I better pay my bills because Agent 47 is going to come calling.
Yeah, exactly.
Bing bong.
David, I didn't know that you were from South Africa.
Yeah.
But I think it was fans or things on YouTube I read and said that, and I didn't know it's funny, I was thinking of your accent because obviously there's all these things about, isn't it crazy that Diana's played by, well, fans say, isn't it amazing? Diana's played by an American. And then they're even more freaked out when they realize Diana's played by a Canadian. And then the Constance played by an English guy. And then Agent 47, who has this American accent, played by a South African. I didn't know you were South African.
You guys do so well.
Beautifully RP accent. You've got a beautiful English. To me, to my ear, it sounds RP.
Well,
it doesn't sound South African.
No, South African.
I can't do it.
Horrible accent. No, it has its moments. But I think the advantage of my upbringing and moving around and stuff is that I have no sort of noticeable dialect. So it apparently appeals to international companies that don't want, like the Americans go, oh God, I don't want to hear English voices, la la la. And France doesn't want to hear, Europe doesn't want to hear anything in English. Thank you very much. And because they go, oh, you Brexiteers, yeah, merde. And
to my ear, you sound like a not like the Queen, not like the royal family kind of RP, but you do sound very RP. And I think you've got a beautiful voice and you've got a good accent. To me, you sound English, but I don't know.
Well, I did a thing where I did a cartoon film called Help, I'm a Fish, and I played an Australian shark. And when Pixar did the film Finding Nemo, they actually wrote a line in it for me as a direct reference to the film company who made Help, I'm a Fish, saying, not all sharks are Australian. That is a line, because they were just pissed because I played the shark as pretty dumb as you get.
Oh.
They were going,
I love it.
Dumb. So they got all uptight about it.
Yeah.
Do you guys, and this doesn't have to be from the recent trilogy, but like I've always said, and I mentioned this to you, David, on the first one, my favorite scene of the entire Hitman game franchise was where you very meticulously dispatched the nuns. Now, do you guys have any specific scenes, like from any game from original, like the very first one to now, like, do you have any favorite scene? Not necessarily with your character. Like if Philip liked something that you did, or like, do you have one scene that stands out more than the rest?
That's a good question.
That's a cruel question.
I'll have to make my mind go back to all the different Hitman
Yeah.
games I've played now.
I know.
I think it'd probably be something from Blood Money, but there were so many. I remember one of the early ones. It might have been Silent Assassin. It may have been Silent Assassin.
Wow.
I don't think it was the first one, but it may have been Silent Assassin. It was one where you could play it because I like playing it in first person. I don't really like playing games in third person, but there was a really good Chinese triad level. I think it was the second Hitman game ever, like 2004 or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was fabulous. It was set in this kind of big Chinese gangster triad place. And I think there was some sniping, and then you were in there in the place as well. And I think there was some massive sumo wrestler guy who you could kill. You had to kill the sumo wrestler to get to the boss. Yeah,
He was ridiculously big.
I remember that being good.
He was. I mean, I saw the graphics at the drawings for that on the storyboard, and I went, "What? Who drew that? Did they know that I'm standing next to him and I come up to his kneecaps? You know, it's like, oh, we just want to make this guy totally deformed, huge. You know, I'm gonna whip his ass. I think not, but I did. I don't know. I've got millions. Jane, have you got a favorite kind of?
I don't know. It's very hard to choose a favorite. I do like the tango scene. David, you and I have talked about this before, where we're both there sort of dancing, and that's just a really nice moment, I think, in the story of their relationship in some ways. But I don't know. I can't really choose.
Yeah.
Tough.
Yeah, I mean, see, thanks, Brad. Thanks for that question.
The loaded question.
No, but it is. I mean, I'm crazy about the tango scene, but that's why I gave it over to Jane, because I was hoping she could say it before I said it. I just liked it because that whole level really, because we were in the game together. You know, we were in the field together.
Yeah.
And because of the longevity of the game and our relationship, it just felt extremely kind of real and intimate, as a kind of recognition almost to the dedicated gamers, just to going, yeah, what a great team. You know, let's do it. Let's do it together. And that's also why I thought, Mr. Gray's demise was like, because I had that same feeling when we're driving in the car together and the shot kind of comes round and you see it. I just thought that was such a cool moment. So those, for me, they're loaded with, because of good memories and the longevity of the game. And I've got great moments. It's funny you should say Blood Money. There's some good stuff in Blood Money, which moves me, and St. Petersburg in the snow, and Silent Assassin, I think it was, and millions. But yeah, good memories.
Good answer.
Leave it at that.
Do you feel you have any similarities between yourselves and your characters for the Hitman series?
Oh, Philip, you take that one.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Agent 47. Putting that one on me. To the constant.
Come on, spill the beans.
There's another loaded question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You always like manipulating people.
How can I say I'm like the constant? I mean, what would that say about my character?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just it's interesting, though. I know this is not answering the question in any way, shape, or form, but it's interesting how I really applaud the people at IO Interactive.
Yeah.
Or was it Square Enix who did the first one? Did Square Enix do the very, very first one?
No.
The first one of the trilogy? No.
Oh, the first one of the trilogy, yeah.
They did. They were the backers. It was IO Interactive. If I got that right, David. Yeah.
I'm just sorry. I'm looking at it right now. I don't see Square Enix anywhere on here.
Oh, okay,
So
it was probably the previous one to that. Yeah, that's right. But the
Oh,
people
absolutely.
at IO
Iris.
who gave the character descriptions when I got the audition, I don't know how you, Jane, and David felt about this when you did your auditions, but they had a very short and simple description for the constant, but it was so useful what they said, and just this little drawing, this little drawing of him. I can't remember that Simon Leswall, I think, was the artist or something, and he did this little drawing, and it was just so helpful for getting the character and getting the voice, because I think when you feel right in the body of the character and you feel the voice fit, then it all just works then. But I don't know if I'm like the constant. I hope not. That's my answer. Over to you, David.
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, no, I've said this before. There's a lot of stuff about Hitman, not that I kill people for a living, but I was able to use from my own background, and I found that tremendous, almost a release, just having a fragmentary upbringing, which was I was able to kind of use that feeling of aloneness. Not lonely. I was never lonely as such, but just that feeling. We've all had it. We kind of, you're the new boy in the school or the new person,
Right.
and you're trying to make friends, or you just feel like you're looking in on someone else's life. So I felt I could use that genuinely, which I have used in kind of coloring the lines, and then the character obviously is fleshed out from there, and the writers, and off we go, with 20
Very
years
interesting.
kind of conscious and subconscious collaboration.
Very
That's the kind of short story. Jen, what do you got to say to that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I am that much like Diana. I suppose I think Diana's quite reserved, and I could be like that. I think that's part of my character, certainly. And proper, I think she's quite a proper person. And that probably is an adjective that could be used to describe me in certain moments, not all the time. But I wish I was as intelligent and educated as she is. She's so darn smart. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I suppose in every character, there's a little bit of us somehow informing it. But that's quite hard to identify sometimes. So yeah, I'm not sure. I think she has a very strong moral fiber, for sure. Even, despite the fact that her business is about creating ways in which to assassinate people, but I like to think that her moral fiber is such that the people she gets Agent 47 to kill are, they deserve it.
They're coming. Yeah.
And so perhaps that sense of justice maybe is something that I could relate to, perhaps.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Like you said, like these are all kind of extraordinary circumstances. Like you said, like David's not. Well, I also don't show remorse when I kill people. Like obviously there's a bit of a disconnect there, but like you said, just even some of the things like their integrity, their dedication to helping one another, things like that. Those are the things that when the game's being played, we see that stuff come through from you guys when you're delivering.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Yeah.
Here's just a comment on that. If you listen to a voice, it could be in a TV program, or if you turn something on, you don't know what the thing is about, or a film, and close your eyes and just listen to the voices, and then I've done that as an exercise. I try to imagine what the person looks like that I'm listening to. And obviously you're getting clues as to what kind of a person they are the more you hear them, because you go, oh, right, he's a so-and-so or whatever. But before that stage, it's quite nice to just close your eyes and go, okay, I think he's Yeah, he's got some integrity. He's strong. I would put him as tall, and yeah, and then you open your eyes and you go, oh, got that wrong. But it's a nice exercise because it just is like a little mental gymnastics to put a
It's
character
interesting.
to a voice.
Voices mean something to us. They have an imprint, and they kind of resonate in a way that I suppose we pick up a lot of information from a voice, which is
Yeah.
why some voices are used to sell a credit card, a financial product, and others would never be used to sell that because we wouldn't be able to buy into to that, and vice versa. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody would be used to sell I don't know, like an adventure holiday or something like that. And the voice has to match with what's going on. And if it doesn't make sense to the listener. They're like, no, there's something wrong here. And that's a really interesting aspect of voice acting. And I think voices, the sort of the eye is the window of the soul. And the voice also has a real strong, I don't know, what am I trying to say? It broadcasts something about us that's
absolutely.
Yeah.
is interesting and fascinating. And what it broadcasts, sometimes it could be a mismatch too. Somebody might have a very deep sounding, safe voice, and they might be a complete mad person. I don't know, but that's what the voice is too. I don't know. I've just completely contradicted myself there. So
No, actually, you didn't.
No,
But
that makes sense, Jane. Completely.
thank you.
Yeah, we're often asked, oh, what's the secret to becoming a voice actor? And you're going, well, that's a big question. But there is something in our voices that have been chosen on more occasions than less occasions, more occasions than not, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And
that's right.
that is really irritatingly difficult to quantify for us. It's the same as, you're seeing a fabulous film actor and you're going, oh, damn. Oh, I could do that. And you're going, no, you can't. Oh, damn. Yes, you're right. And
I think voice acting is much more difficult than, I think just doing voice acting is far more difficult than acting with your body and your voice at the same time.
Yes.
I think it's
Philip,
far harder.
Yes. Yeah. I think the specificity of it is, it really asks that you go deep in things. Like, for example, one of the directors I work with a lot, Damien Goodwin, who directed me in Returnal, he said to me, you can hear a smile, you can hear when somebody's looking at you, that you can hear these things in the voice. And I think that's so true. And so therefore, in order to play that, you have to really put yourself in that moment where you are really looking at something, so that we can hear that subtle, small transition in an actor's voice that paints the rest of the picture, and fills in those blanks. And I think that's so true. So I think you can't get away with acting that's not specific when it's just your voice. You have to really be clear about everything that's going on, and that makes for really good storytelling, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I believe so, for sure. Now, given the circumstances, like maybe if you're having like a heartfelt dialogue is one thing, but are there any circumstances, do any of you, kind of to Philip's point, do you get animated or ever act out when you're talking? Like, do you find yourself moving a lot if the scene would warrant it?
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think voice work is physical work. And so it really is helpful to sort of get your body involved in whatever you're doing, or like over there,
Yeah.
That's what we do in real life. And of course, you do have this restriction of you need to be on mic, so you can't move too much. Right. But if you can sort of, move as much as the restrictions of the form, the structure of the form allows you to, then it totally informs what you're doing.
Yeah, it's really important that.
Yeah.
Well, I just find, like, from different voice actors that I've seen, some of the behind the scenes and work like that, like I imagine, and David, love to hear what you say to this, but when I watch something like Batman the Animated Series, Kevin Conroy, because he's doing like a heavier, sedated Batman, you know, he'll boom and like cowl over the microphone, but that's his delivery. Whereas when Mark Hamill's doing the Joker, he is jumping up and down because the character warrants it. Like do you find a lot of times with Agent 47, because again, he's going to be like coming into a scene, do you find like yourself to be like maybe less animated than in other scenes, or?
I mean, a lot of the times I'm in stealth mode, or I'm close to my target. So if I'm talking to Diana, it is, you know, I'm restrained in volume, and that's because I'm aware of that. I really am. I'm thinking, okay, I'm in the same room, but I'm behind a curtain, or I'm on the balcony. Diana, what should I do now? You know, and occasionally there are retakes where I'll do a level about every 6 weeks, and then the next time I come around to do the next level, we'll start with some retakes, and that simply could be, oh, we've discovered that we've gone for a long shot, and it's just too intimate because you're like 500 meters away and you're just walking up a beach, and we want a little more crashing waves, so you got to speak a little up, saying, Diana is, you know, I've arrived, my shoes are wet. Whatever.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, there is that proximity thing is constantly, and I even right in the first or second game, I was doing something and they couldn't see me in the studio, and suddenly I heard this, you know, remark, David, what are you doing? Okay, what do you mean? He said, you're making this kind of like, you've changed, you're doing something. I can hear you breathing. I said, well, that's because I'm behind a curtain and I'm talking. So I wanted to hear so I put my hand up, you know, I did. And they said, but that was great. But we just wanted to know because the levels changed, but it gave that kind of bounce back of.
So John, I know you guys have to go to your Streamily. John actually just signed on.
Oh, John, you.
So Philip, are you able to stick around for a little bit while we say
Philip,
bye to David and Jane? He's coming on right now. So just because I know you guys got to do your stuff, so I really appreciate your time.
You guys have got to go. Okay, it's great to see you.
Philip, hold the fort.
So good. Hello, John. How you doing, buddy?
Hi, guys.
Thank you so much. Thanks, guys.
Look at you.
Oh, I like the beard. Fantastic.
Thanks, guys.
You're looking very handsome.
I mean, I feel very handsome. I'm hiking.
Where are you?
I'm hiking in the mountains of Corsica.
Oh gosh.
What?
Wow.
I know, and I've been in the mountains camping or sleeping in refuges for 4 days, and I just descended to a road where I'm staying. Here are my boots. Here's my rucksack. Here's the bunk. And as I got to the road, I got an alert saying Hitman meeting Nerdcast, and I was like, we're the So I just checked into a bunk room. I'm in here on my own. They told me I'm here on my own, so I'm doing it from here, guys. So yeah,
fantastic.
I'm so sorry I'm so late.
No, it's David and Jane have a Streamily, but Philip said he was going to stick around so that we could talk the villains of the series if you have a little bit of time. So
yeah, for sure. Well,
awesome.
dinner's at 7:30, so I've got 26 minutes. But yeah,
awesome. Well, we'll make it work. Thank you so much, David and Jane. Enjoy your Streamily, and we will see you soon.
David and Jane, great to see you guys.
Bye-bye.
All the best.
Nice to see you briefly.
Take care.
Yeah.
Boom.
So
Hi there,
welcome. I'm very. It's nice to actually to put a face to the name, and we're not chatting over the email correspondence. Yeah. And we were talking with everybody a few minutes, a little bit ago, but this is good. It's like the villain arc. I mean, you're not really a villain. Neither of you guys are really villains.
I began as a villain and then became sort of assistant along the way, which yeah.
So I had asked this question to David, and he said that you would have more insight. So I was watching the All Things Hitman podcast, and they had likened your relationship with Agent 47's to that of 006 and 007. But I see it as a reversal, where you start off as a villain, and like as the series progresses, you become more, not really more neutral. But like how do you get into that kind of dynamic? Like it's just the banter between you and David was incredible, and I know like a lot of lines get fed to you, but how did you take like how did you roll with that?
Well, I mean, I think that the DNA of that stuff is in one of my very first cutscenes when I'm talking over the earpiece, and I have him in my sights, and she says, "You know him?" And I said, "Better than anybody, better than anybody." And that's one of the few actual live mocap scenes we did early on, and I really love doing that scene. And I think that's it. All of this time he's hunting him down, or he's pursuing him, or he's thwarting him. It's because he needs to tell him the truth, tell him who he is, and what he knows about his past. So once he sort of drops that truth bomb in, I think, the second game, then they reach this rapprochement. And from then on, it becomes this really lovely, fraternal relationship.
That's awesome. So the relationship, like, did and you both of you can answer this. So like, what was there ever like the plan to have Lucas Grey as like a villain throughout the whole series, or did something change halfway through where they were like, no, the fan reception for him is incredible? Like, did you like almost like Darth Vader and Palpatine kind of like relationship? That's how it kind of seemed at first, but you don't really know much about your character at the beginning, and then as the series fleshes out, it's like, okay, this guy's actually a badass.
Yeah. I have to say, and this might be, you might have received this answer from other people as well earlier in the Nerdcast, I was not privy to those decisions.
No, me neither.
Yeah, so you kind of suddenly go, oh, I'm kind of helping him, and I'm giving him advice on missions, a bit like Jane does. Okay, I'll roll with that. That's who I am now. So yeah, I mean, for me, I would have loved to stay the villain all the way through. But the flip side of it is that you get to the death I got was significantly more heroic than a villain's death would be.
Yeah, you weren't injected.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
So,
how does Philip die? I can't remember how Phil dies.
I don't even know if he dies though. Like it's implied. Like you just forget about who you are essentially. Isn't that how it is, Philip?
Yeah, I think so. Exactly. I don't know if he has officially died. I would be pleased if he hasn't officially died.
Maybe we'll see him back in season 3 of Hitman 3. Who knows?
You never know. Because the whole thing could have been a dream, and then
Phil is so good in this. The scene that Phil has on the train is it remains like one of my favorite video game scenes ever. I think it's so fantastic.
Oh, thanks, man. I love doing that scene so much. Love that. It's weird though, because John, I was looking at everybody. I went on to IMDb today because obviously Jane's been doing so amazingly. I mean, getting that BAFTA award, and David's been up for awards lately and things like that, Game Awards, and I went on to IMDb today and I looked at everybody's credits in detail, and I tried to look at everybody's showreels as well. I saw Jane's acting showreel, which was fantastic. She's done so much film and TV. I saw her game showreel because I wanted to get up to speed with Returnal and Cyberpunk and things like that. She's got a brilliant game showreel, and I looked for I was hoping David would, maybe it's on his agent's website or something. I was hoping I could see David's acting showreel, but I couldn't find it on IMDb, and I also looked for yours on IMDb, but maybe you haven't put it on there. So I went to.
I have it on there. I probably should have it on there, shouldn't I? But I don't think I do.
Well, you might not need it. I mean, it's weird actually because you're with Scott Marshall, and I've heard so many great things about Scott Marshall. I think John Colclough.
You are hearing correctly. You are hearing
absolutely, yeah. John Colclough, who was one of the advisors at Spotlight, wonderful, wonderful man. And when I was getting advice from him many years ago about agents and things, he was telling me a lot of different agents, and saying really great things about Olivia Bell, who I'm with, but I remember him mentioning Scott Marshall and saying, Scott Marshall, an absolutely brilliant agency. The reason I'm mentioning this is maybe that's why. And I went on to, when I couldn't find your reel on IMDb, I went onto the Scott Marshall website and found your profile there. I was hoping there'd be a link to Spotlight, but some agents don't do that. They like to kind of keep their clients, I think they
a
like
little
to keep
secret.
exactly, and it's only the casting directors or certain directors who approach them, then they'll be allowed to see the client's showreel. So in the long story, the short story is, I tried to look at your showreel, Dan, I couldn't do so.
No, fine, mate. You raise an interesting point, and this perhaps goes back to the conversation I was having with Bradley via email, which is how available you want to make yourself to the public eye and so on and so forth. Because you're right, I'm not really on IMDb, and I'm not on Instagram or any social media at all. And I've sort of, on Twitter, and I do a lot of work, and I do a lot of game work as voice work and stuff, and a bit of me thinks maybe I should be posting more or kind of leading with a front foot and this kind of stuff, or putting reels out there, because I've got game reels and voice reels and stuff, but I think that I sort of choose privately to keep them in the industry, if that makes sense, rather than moving the public. But a sea change may be happening. I've been discussing it with my partner, so you might find me on Instagram soon and pouring my voice reel and my face reel all over the place.
Well, I have to tell you though that your role as Aaron was probably one of my favorites, and same with Hendrix. From actually, Dragon Quest is one of my favorite role playing games.
Oh, Dragon Quest!
Yeah,
I've heard it. I've not played it. But
when I told one of my friends that we were having you on, and like he's like, oh yeah, that's cool. What were his voices? So I listed them off, and as soon as I said Dragon Quest, he's like, are you kidding me? Like of all the roles. Like he's a big role-playing game guy as well, but Aaron stands out as one of my favorite, because it's like just how you put on like this American accent per se, I guess, like almost like a 50s style, like almost I would liken it to like voices in Fallout, but because of how the technology's gone forward. But he stands out as one of my favorite characters, just because it's a serious game, but he's like the comic relief without being the comic relief, like whether that's intentional or not, again, that's with the writing. But Aaron stands as one of my favorite characters it was just very well done. And I don't know if you're able to talk about this or all, but I'm personally, on a personal level, I'm hoping that we get to see more of Aaron in the VR Fallout or VR Horizon that's coming out.
I know I'm not. I mean, I know as much as you do. I'm not dead at the end of the last one. I'm not dead at the end of the big West.
That's always good.
Which is a good sign. I'm glad you like it. It's one of my favorite ones to do as well. Partly because it's fun to do an American accent, and it's fun to play someone. In real life, I'm quite hyper and quite high energy and quite twitchy, and I like to play someone who's a little bit behind the ball, and he's a little bit slower than I am. And a little bit like he's kind of catching up all the time, and he's a little drunk, and his energy's a little heavy. And
sounds like a great character. I'll have to play this.
He's really fun. He's really fun, and he's hopelessly in love with the leading character.
Okay, you've got that as well. That's brilliant.
I got that as well, but which is never quite requited. So he's always slightly in the friend zone, but happy to be there. He's like a big puppy, so it's a joy. It's a joy to play. And the writing is so good. The writing's really good. Yeah.
It's almost. I don't know, we're getting off the topic of Hitman, but you only have so much time, and I wanted to ask about Horizon as well. But it almost seems like at the very end of the game. Sorry if I'm spoiling this, but it almost seems like the feelings are reciprocated finally. I won't say between who, but that's almost what I get.
Yeah, you may be right, and it's interesting because there's some visual stuff in how the characters are interacting at the very end, which I guess is what you're discussing. Mm-hmm. Which I wasn't privy to, because I did a little bit of motion capture on it, and it's also facial capture. When you're in the vocal booth, there's a GoPro pointing back at your face. But I never met Ashley Birch. We never had any scenes together all of my dialogue is recorded in isolation, and hers in isolation, and they stitch it together so well. So at the end, when there's a physical interaction, I didn't know that happened until I watched the cutscenes on YouTube, and I was like,
oh wow, that was
at the end, you can,
fascinating.
yeah. Whereas normally you would be, as an actor, you'd be aware that that's the arc, and that they're going to get that happy sense of possibility. But Phil, you'll know the same. You just get your own lines often,
Exactly.
and you don't speak. You don't. We had a couple of scenes where we were actually in the room together, which was lovely. But most of the time, it's in isolation, and it's a credit to the editors that they can make it sound so much like a real conversation, and of course to our breathtaking skills. It's a credit to that as well. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a great time for everyone to be a gamer. Like, and David had mentioned this before, like with the lockdowns happening, like previous and everything, everybody was in more, so more money was spent on video games. Like, I mean, I'm not saying I don't have a collection like Adam, but I mean, I've got games. I'm okay. Like,
I love what's above Adam's head. It's great.
I got some Mario, and it goes right down.
Oh,
Wow.
superb! Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
But so just before I let you guys go, because again, I really appreciate you taking the time from your hike to come on. Is there so?
Thanks. I'm sorry I'm such a state. I'm sorry.
It's not.
You're playing a
not
lumberjack at the moment, aren't you, John? That's your next role from Scott Marshall.
In regards to Hitman, like and like, have you played any of the games, or do you pretty much just do the voices, or?
Phil, do you want to go first on this one?
I actually answered this in the last one.
Oh, okay. Then I will answer it if you want. I bought a PlayStation 4 in lockdown and formed a squad of absolute morons with 3 of my friends, and we all play Warzone terribly together. And that's my first gaming experience for 20, maybe 15 years. I used to be addicted to the PS2 when I was much younger.
Best system of the whole time.
On the all things Hitman interview, you mentioned that, John.
I had fewer responsibilities, and so I would play. But I would play the original Hitman 2, if that makes any sense, like the one from
Silent Assassin.
2000.
Really good.
Hitman 2, Silent Assassin, and I lost at least one quite important job, because I was playing it until about 4 in.the morning, trying to kill the Russian general, and I had an audition the next day at 10 a.m. and I was underprepared entirely because of Hitman 2.
I remember the Russian general scene. Yeah,
it's very good scene. But I will admit I haven't played any of the I haven't played any of the games I've done myself since I started doing games, which is about 8 years ago now. I would like to, but I've never got around to it.
So then this will be a brief question. Do you have a favorite scene? It doesn't have to be yours. It can be like David's or Philip's, or like, do you have a favorite moment in the trilogy that you voiced in?
I like the scene where I have 47 down the sight of the gun in the first of the trilogy, and I can't remember the name of the scene, but I really like that scene. It's either that one or the scene with Philip on the train, which I think is so well acted. Those are my 2 faves.
Awesome.
It was a joy to do that. Yeah, I remember that one that you were mentioning that you were in. It's a very, very powerful scene. There's a beautiful stillness, a beautiful subtlety to that scene that you did. It was really, really excellent.
It's one of the few mocap scenes. The rest of it is the rest of the stuff is just in a recording booth. In a recording booth. That's one of the few occasions where I was actually on a sound stage in the suit with a prop rifle, and that added an intensity and a focus to the performance, which I hope comes across.
It was very well done, and I was actually able to play the whole trilogy. So like when we did with the chat with David a year ago, I had only played the first one and I stopped because I just reasons, and then I picked up the other 2, and I still can't do the Dubai the beginning scene in Hitman 3, and Philip wants me to try it in VR. There's no way I'm climbing up a building in first person. I'm afraid of heights. So
that's the thing, John.
Yeah, what's the plan?
I was just going to say that when Brad asked me this question, I would have liked to have said I played the whole trilogy, but I haven't played any because I've been such a Hitman fan for years and played almost all the games. I played all the games up to Hitman Absolution, but I like playing them in first person. And when
Right.
Absolution came round, even though it was brilliantly made, you couldn't, well, Brad told me about a mod. You can get a mod to play it in first person, because that's how I like to play it, but I don't know how to. I haven't got this mod, so I haven't played any of them yet, but I would love to.
See. Yeah.
And I'd love to do VR. I would love that.
I would walk into a wall for sure. Guys, I hiked 18 miles today.
No problem.
In 10 minutes. So I'm
I
gonna
appreciate you coming on. Like it's.
I'm so sorry. I was like, once I got the emails, you were like, it's happening now. I was like, God damn it! And I massively upped my pace for the last 20 minutes to make it.
No problem. I now I can say that I have had the Hitman Roundtable, so it's great, and congratulations on the success. And I mean, obviously, Aaron is a real big part of a lot of people live playing Horizon, and you definitely killed all the roles you guys have done, in literally and figuratively speaking, with Hitman. So but I really appreciate you coming on, and all the best with whatever else you guys are doing.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you
Thanks
very
so much.
much.
Appreciate it.
So much
Take
fun.
care, guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Cheers, John. Great to see you, my friend. Wonderful to meet you, Adam. Really great to meet you. I hope we can chat again another time. That'd be
yes,
super.
Absolutely. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much.
There you go.
Great to hear Canadian accents as well.
Perfect.
Take care, John.
Thanks,
Nice
Philip. Take care.
Okay, take care. Thanks, Brad. It was so much fun.
Absolutely.
Cheers for now. Cheers, guys. Bye for now.
Bye now. Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Philip.
There we go. So I can have the Hitman Roundtable completed. It was fun.
How insane is that? And really, once, like, all we really wanted to do was just bring them together, let them have just witness and have the pleasure of being invited to it.
Yeah, it was like I invited them out, but we were the guests.
Yeah.
And I'm happy that John was able to come on. It was brief, but you know what? Like,
that's right.
I'm not going to get into too much about toxicity, but I mean, we can attest to it. Like,
for sure.
It's social media has become a social platform for toxicity, and a lot of people choose just to stay away from it. And
that's right.
I don't know. I'm smiling here. I'm smiling inside. Like,
absolutely. Like you said, this was 100%. Like, we are insanely grateful that they took the time of nobody owes us anything.
Who are we? Like, we're just like
just a couple of Northern Ontario kids here, just sitting here and fanboying through the whole thing. So that was fantastic.
And then I've got, well, I can announce it, but I don't have a date for it, and I don't know if you're interested in coming back, but we've got at some point, he's on holidays right now, but Doug Cockle, who voiced Geralt of Rivia from the Witcher series. And again, like the last couple chats, so like having John on, and then I don't know if you're an Elden Ring fan, but Clayton and I did talk to Anthony Howell. Like, Jane set up a lot of these just because they're very private people, and it just worked out. And it turns out that she's acquaintances with Doug as well. So I'm looking forward to talking about The Witcher, and then after, of course, on every person's bucket list is Nolan North, Troy Baker. I would really love to chat with the voice actor who plays Kazuma, like the Japanese voice actor from Yakuza. Jennifer Hale. Like, I say if I can hit 6 more, then I can retire. But it's been a very fun year, and again, it started with David. They're all legends in their own right. They all bring something, and that's the nice thing about Hitman is, I mean, it's not a game that's for everybody. Like, I mean, it's a violent game, but at the end of the day, it's still technically about humanity, I guess.
Yeah, no, and like you said, there's so many good fleshed out characters in the game that I think that's what makes it fantastic, and everybody brought their own thing to the table. So everybody has different motivations, everybody's on a different aspect, but yeah, there's so many great characters. So that's one thing about the series that really stands, way up there amongst them.
Well, where can people find you?
I am Svenny McG. You can find Svenny McG on Instagram, Twitter, on even some shorts on TikTok, but primarily and Facebook, but primarily you can find me on YouTube. And I have a lot of retro video games and the like there. So certainly you can check me out there.
We'll leave it at that. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.